Email address daily. Sign up at lifenews.com. This has been Life News Radio.
This is Franciscan Media's Saint of the Day for March 20th. Today we celebrate Saint Salvator of Orta. Born in Spain in 1520, Salvator entered the Franciscans as a brother at 21. He intended a life of quiet service to his religious community as cook, porter, and beggar. During his regular begging rounds, he began healing the sick he encountered, blessing them with the sign of the cross. News spread, and sick people began flocking to the friary to see Salvator. He was transferred to a more remote friary near the town of Orta, but news of the Holy Friar's arrival soon spread. Up to 2,000 people a week came, wishing to be in his presence. Salvator counseled them to examine their consciences, go to confession and receive the sacraments. He then blessed them. Many reported that they were healed. A reputation for holiness can have its drawbacks. Though well-meaning, the public attention to Salvator was relentless. Crowds would sometimes tear off pieces of his habit as relics. This recognition proved a nuisance to his fellow Franciscans, but Salvator remained calm and humble, seeing himself as God's unworthy servant. He died in 1567 and was canonized in 1938. There's more about the saints along with inspiration and Catholic resources at our website, saintoftheday.org. From Franciscan Media, this has been Saint of the Day.
There's no better way to start your day than with spiritual formation from inspiring priests.
Remember that saying that only dead things are taken by the current. If you're alive, you have to be going against the current. If you're just floating down the river, then spiritually we're dead.
That's Sermons for Everyday Living, weekdays from 6 to 7 a.m. Eastern on the Station of the Cross.
Coming up on the Monday edition of A Catholic Take, LifeSite News' Dorothy Cummins McLean is going to be our guest to talk about a heartbreaking story of a young mom and a young dad who need help rescuing their 2-year-old son from a gender-confused woman. Also on the program, an alternative, a Catholic alternative to YouTube. SpiritusTV, the founder, Daniel Rodriguez, will be our guest. All of that and more, go to thestationofthecross.com/ACT.
This is Joe McLean, and you're listening to the Station of the Cross, proclaiming the fullness of the truth with clarity and charity.
Heard around the world on your Android and Apple mobile devices.
Go into the world and tell every man that you meet, there is a man on the cross.
A Catholic Take. What you need to know right now. A bold synthesis of inspiration and information. Keeping you up to date on the news and issues from a courageous Catholic perspective.
A Catholic Take with Joe McLean starts now.
Praise be to Jesus Christ. Welcome back to A Catholic Take, a bold synthesis of information and inspiration. I'm your host, Joe McLean. So good to be on with you this morning. Praise be to God. Happy Solemnity of Saint Joseph, spouse of the Blessed Virgin Mary. So if you're a Joseph, it's your feast day. It's your day. Praise be to God. Thank you, Saint Joseph, for praying and interceding for our family, for our church today. We're going to have a great conversation about the freedom of speech. Catholic edition. We're going to have some great guests today. Dorothy Cummins McLean from LifeSite News is going to be on, sharing somewhat of a tragic heartbreaker story coming out of Canada about a young mom and dad who need help rescuing their 2-year-old son from a gender-confused person. A rescue is in order. We're going to find out at 15 past the hour. Daniel Rodriguez, founder of SpiritusTV, is going to be on to talk about a Catholic alternative to YouTube. Praise be to God. I'm thinking it's about time. We're going to have a conversation around what it means to be Catholic evangelists in this brave new digital world with all the difficulties of censorship and everything else. All of that coming up at 30 past the hour. By the way, we do share all of the links in the show notes to everything we talk about, the news items, the conversations, everything in the show notes, which you can find linked up on our website at thestationofthecross.com/ACT. That's thestationofthecross.com/ACT. Let's pray. Let's jump in. Let's get started. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. Amen. Remember, O most gracious Virgin Mary, that never was it known that anyone who fled to thy protection, implored thy help, or sought thine intercession was left unaided. Inspired by this confidence, I fly unto thee, O Virgin of Virgins, my mother. To thee do I come, before thee I stand sinful and sorrowful. O Mother of the Word incarnate, despise not my petitions, but in thy mercy hear and answer me. Amen. In the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost. Amen. And now your saint of the day, Saint John Nepomucene, pray for us. Saint John was born in about 1340 in Nepomuk, Bohemia, modern-day Czech Republic, as John Wolfen. While as a child he was cured by the prayers of his parents, they then consecrated him to God. He became a priest, known as the Great Preacher, and consecrated and converted thousands. Vicar General of Prague and counselor and advocate of the poor in the court of the King Wenceslaus IV. He refused several bishoprics before becoming the counselor to the Queen, and he taught her to bear the cross of her ill-tempered husband, the king, with patience. But he was imprisoned for refusing to disclose the Queen's confession. When he continued to honor the seal of the confessional, he was ordered executed. He became a symbol of Bohemian nationalism. His image has been used in art as a symbol of the sacrament of confession, and many bridges in Europe bear his likeness as their protector. He died, burned, and then tied to a wheel and thrown off a bridge into the Moldau River and drowned on the 20th of March, 1393. On the night of his death, 7 stars hovered over the place where he drowned. He was canonized on the 19th of March, 1729 by Pope Benedict XIII. Saint John Nepomucene, pray for us. And now, your headline news. You Catholic reports Catholic exorcists raise concerns over the Pope's Exorcist film. The movie The Pope's Exorcist is slated to release in April and draws inspiration from the experiences of the late Father Gabriel Amorth, who served as the Vatican's chief exorcist and carried out tens of thousands of exorcisms over the course of his 60-plus years as a priest. Recently, though, the International Association of Exorcists, a group recognized by the Catholic Church, is issuing a letter expressing their reservations regarding the film's depiction of exorcism and Father Amorth. The organization notes that the film's title is presumptuous and that the trailer implies a lack of dependability on such a sensitive and pertinent subject. The letter goes on to state that the movie takes excessive liberties in adapting Father Amorth's memoirs, and that Russell Crowe's appearance and demeanor do not match that of the human and priestly characteristics of the late great Father Gabriel Amorth. The Business Insider reports Trump indictment not certain. Surprise witness to testify on Monday. A possible Donald Trump hush money indictment is on hold until a final witness testifies before a Manhattan grand jury on Monday afternoon. The source spoke on condition of anonymity because they were not authorized to divulge details of the grand jury proceedings. The source declined to identify the witness, whose testimony will cap a 2-month grand jury presentation by prosecutors under District Attorney Alvin Bragg. The grand jury, which meets in secret in a lower Manhattan office building, only gathers to hear testimony during 3-hour afternoon sessions on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Sources have told Insider that they expect the top count to be falsifying business records in the first degree, a low-level felony that would allege that Trump and other co-defendants falsified documents in order to conceal another crime, such as omitting a $130,000 from campaign financial statement. Trump has vehemently denied any wrongdoing or having an affair with Stormy Daniels. The Daily Mail reports 24 hours of hell in top New York City hospital. Patients left lying in hallways, urine-soaked floors, and staff incapable of providing answers for desperate family members. As city healthcare system is stretched to its breaking point. It comes amid patient backlogs and staffing shortages after the pandemic that have stretched New York hospitals to their breaking point and sparking strikes by nurses. More than 7,000 nurses went on strike in January over work and pay conditions. The New York Nurses Association reached an agreement with Mount Sinai Hospital and Montefiore Medical Center after a 4-day walkout. However, the system remains under massive strain. And those are your headline news. The gospel today comes to us from Matthew chapter 1, verses 16, 18 through 21, and verse 24. Jacob was the father of Joseph, the husband of Mary. Of her was born Jesus, who is called the Christ. Now this is how the birth of Jesus Christ came about. When his mother Mary was betrothed to Joseph, but before they lived together, she was found with child through the Holy Ghost. Joseph, her husband, since he was a righteous man, yet unwilling to expose her to shame, decided to divorce her quietly. Such was his intention when, behold, the angel of the Lord appeared to him in a dream and said, Joseph, son of David, do not be afraid to take Mary your wife into your home, for it is through the Holy Ghost that the child has been conceived in her. She will bear a son, and you are to name him Jesus, because he will save his people from their sins. When Joseph awoke, he did as the angel of the Lord had commanded him, and took his wife into his home. The gospel of the Lord. Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ. This is one of those yearly gospels. I like to always basically share the same commentary, for this particular reason. When it comes to St. Joseph, there's a lot of Catholics you might know, some I'm sure, that get all scandalized by the fact that Joseph wanted to put her away, to divorce her quietly. So what is going on here? And I tend to reference the same commentary this time every year just to hammer the point home. Ignatius Catholic commentary says, of the Holy Spirit often reads as an editorial comment addressed to the reader. Others take it to mean that Joseph himself had come to learn that Mary's pregnancy was the result of a miracle. Did you get that? He might have recognized the fact that it was a miracle. How about his righteousness? Joseph is a man of sterling moral character, committed to living the Mosaic law. Put her to shame. He did not want to put her to shame. The Greek verb does not necessarily have a negative connotation here. It simply means to expose or to exhibit, but he wanted to do so quietly, which tells us something of his character. But what about this divorce part? Catholic tradition proposes three main interpretations to explain why Joseph resolved to end his betrothal with Mary. Again, all of this coming from the Ignatius Catholic commentary this morning. The first theory, the suspicion theory. Some hold that Joseph suspected Mary of adultery when he discovered her pregnancy. Joseph thus intended to pursue a divorce in accord with Deuteronomy 24 until the angel revealed to him the miraculous cause of the conception. Joseph is said to be righteous because he shuns immorality and directs his life by the law of God. Proponents of this view include St. Justin Martyr, St. Chrysostom, and St. Augustine. The second theory, the perplexity theory. Others hold that Joseph found the situation of Mary's pregnancy inexplicable. Divorce seemed to be his only option, and yet he wished to do this quietly, for he could not bring himself to believe that Mary had been unfaithful. Joseph is said to be righteous because he lives by the law of God and judges Mary's situation with the utmost charity. The main proponent of this view was St. Jerome, whose exegesis was adopted into the notes of the medieval Bible. However, it is the third theory that is the correct one. I don't care what saint attributes their name to them. It's the reverence theory. Still others hold that Joseph knew that miraculous cause of Mary's pregnancy from the beginning. He was made aware that the child was conceived of the Holy Ghost. Faced with this, Joseph considered himself unworthy to be involved in the Lord's work, and his decision to separate quietly from Mary was a discretionary measure to keep secret the mystery within her. On this reading, the angel confirms what Joseph had already known and urges him to set aside pious fears that would lead him away from his vocation to be the legal father of the Messiah, the God-man. Joseph is said to be righteous because of his deep humility and reverence for the miraculous works of God. Proponents of this view include St. Bernard of Clairvaux, St. Thomas Aquinas, and low-level Catholic radio host of A Catholic Take. Nonetheless, that's the one to go with. Put all your money on the third theory, the reverence theory. That's the one. Trust me. We're going to be right back. Dorothy Cummins McLean from LifeSite News is coming up next.
Think of that person in your life that you have a hard time reconciling with. If he or she doesn't immediately come to your mind, ask your guardian angel to help you discern who that person might be. Pray for that person every day through the rest of Lent, even if you can't stand them. What good is it to fast and obey every discipline of Lent, but still end up after 40 days not reconciled with each other? The Lord's Prayer is an important prayer to revisit on a deeper level during Lent. We pray, "Give us this day our daily bread, as we forgive those who trespass against us." We must rely on God for all things and be reconciled with Him, but we must also become reconciled with each other. This is Matt Maloney for KnowTheFaith.net.
Do you love listening to the Station of the Cross on your car radio, but sometimes find yourself driving outside the listening area? Never miss another minute of your favorite show. Download the iCatholic Radio app so you can listen anywhere in the world 24 hours a day. The iCatholic Radio app is available for your phone in the Apple Store or for your Android phone in Google Play. Visit thestationofthecross.com for more information.
Each weekday from 10 to 11 a.m. Eastern, the Station of the Cross brings you Mother Miriam Live.
Mother Miriam, you open my eyes. You are the light in this dark and evil world.
I absolutely love you, and I love your uncompromising Catholic heart.
Tune in from 10 to 11 a.m. Eastern for Mother Miriam Live on the Station of the Cross and our free iCatholic Radio mobile app. You can also watch the video stream every day on Facebook or on YouTube.
Praise be to Jesus Christ. Welcome back to A Catholic Take, a bold synthesis of information and inspiration. I'm your host, Joe McLean. So good to be on with you. Praise be to God. I want to say hello to the 300 some odd people listening to us on our iCatholic Radio mobile app. Praise be to God. Good morning to you. Thanks for hanging out. How about everybody hanging out on the live video stream? By the way, if you want to watch the live video stream, you can do so right on our website. Just go to thestationofthecross.com/ACT. You can not only watch the live stream there, you can catch links to all the other live streams to comment, interact directly. Find also the notes of everything we discussed today, all there at thestationofthecross.com/ACT. Coming up at 30 past the hour, Daniel Rodriguez, founder of SpiritusTV, is going to be our guest. We're going to have a conversation about freedom of speech, Catholic edition, and Catholic alternative to YouTube. It's all coming up. But joining us right now is Dorothy Cummins McLean from LifeSite News. Interesting story out of LifeSite News. Good morning to you, Miss McLean.
Good morning and happy St. Joseph's Day.
Yeah, praise be to God. It's a great feast day today. We get to eat St. Joseph's altar cookies and all kinds of baked goods today. It's going to be exciting. Praise be to God. I wish I could say that your story, though. I wish I could say your story out of LifeSite News was exciting. It's kind of sad and depressing. Headline says, young mom and dad need help rescuing 2-year-old son from gender-confused woman. What's the story?
It's a very St. Joseph's Day story because it's about a little boy who's been robbed of his father and now of his mother. Originally robbed of his father, now robbed of his mother. Essentially, a young woman who had been adopted from, it seems that when she was very little, she was abused. She was adopted by a Christian family who brought her up as best they could. She fell pregnant as a teenager. She got married to the original father, but sadly that marriage broke up, and she was homeless for a while, and she, not trusting men, thought she would find a woman to live with as a roommate, and she met a woman through this son's daycare, who we're calling Robin. Robin was or is a lesbian, and she began to treat Felicity, as we're calling the young mom, kind of was she controlled her. She was very controlling, and eventually Felicity kind of tried to break away from her controlling nature by forming a relationship with an old boyfriend from college, and she got pregnant, and the young man had some personal issues he thought he should work on, and said, look, please have my baby, and I will be back, and when I've got myself straightened out, which, was not the best answer, but that was the answer he gave. And she went back to room with her abusive lesbian friend, who was at first angry that she was pregnant and forbade her from ever seeing her boyfriend again. But then she took a great interest in this unborn baby. And in fact, when poor Felicity had the baby in prison-like conditions, if you ask me, in a hospital during the COVID epidemic, the COVID lockdowns, Robin made sure that her name, not the father's name, was written on the birth registry. And later, we were shocked when we saw the actual birth certificate, because it showed Robin's name even before Felicity's name on the birth certificate. And in fact, the child bears Robin's surname, not Felicity's surname, let alone the name of the actual biological father. And when the biological father found out the baby had been born early, he texted like mad to say, what's going on? And unfortunately, it appears that Robin was also controlling Felicity's messages to him at that time. So, unfortunately now that Felicity has escaped, Robin is now living in a different town with the baby's biological father, whom we're calling Mike. So they're together as a couple, and they're pledged to stick together, and they want to create a home for their baby. But unfortunately, Robin has the baby. There are no custody documents or anything like that. Just the birth certificate saying that she's a parent. Of course, to make things even more confusing, Robin considers herself the father of the child because she has undergone. Oh boy. She's undergone, quote unquote, what would we really call it? She's taken hormones to make herself look more like a man. It's got a mustache, and she's even endured a double mastectomy. So, we're not dealing with very sophisticated people here, and we're not dealing with very rich people here. It's basically a poor young blue-collar couple who just want their little 2-year-old back and raise him as his mom and dad. But they can't at the moment, because this woman who believes that she's a man has got the child. She wants to raise him with her female partner, who, believe it or not, works for the local child protection services. Oh. So their attempts to get, yes, I know, it's a perfect storm of horror for a parent.
That's rough.
A real parent.
Parent.
Mom and dad.
Several things are coming to my mind when you were telling us the story, and I was reading your article. Number one is just the man's brokenness. We are such broken people. We create such hot messes for ourselves. We dig deep ditches, and we struggle to get out of them. And oftentimes, we learn our lessons the hard way. And by then, we've created such a mess. So that was the first thing I thought about when I went through your article. Yeah. The second thing was just about the implications of how this works in Canada in particular, with the government here, because at the end of the day, you would think that biological parents could easily go to the government officials and say, let's take a test. I'm the biological. Yeah. This is my child. This child does not belong in this home. You need to go rescue my child. And then you would think that justice would prevail in that circumstance. But it doesn't seem to be the case. Canada's not on her side.
Well, it's done through the provinces and territories, and in this particular province, no. Apparently, the father told us that the province just was not interested, and they were beside themselves. The And Felicity's adoptive family was beside itself. And in fact, they contacted us. And we were advised, Joe, not even to do the story. We were advised, don't do the story, because if you have too much publicity, if this child's identity is known, then that will prejudice the family courts against the biological parents. But we weren't taking that for an answer, but we're being very, very careful to protect the identity of everyone as much as we can. And indeed, the family said to us, "You are our only hope. They said LifeSite News is our only hope, because we need people." Basically, they're begging the public for donations to fund so they can afford a lawyer. The state, the how do we put this? The publicly funded, they can't find a publicly funded lawyer who will take the case. And so they've been put in touch with private lawyers, Christians, who will help them.
How old is the child?
2.
So, it's interesting. When I was a young parent, we adopted, our oldest is adopted, and my wife and I went through a program called Bringing Up Boys by Dr. Dobson. At the time, he was running an organization called Focus on the Family. And we went through this whole course, and one of the sections of this course was on the impacts of homosexuality on children. And they, in this section, it talked about how your toddler years are the most informative years, and they could have lifelong impact if there's abuse that happens during those toddler years. Our oldest son had some very difficult toddler years, which is why this really meant something to us. And this child is 2. This child is entering into its toddlerhood, and if they don't do something now, this child could suffer for the rest of its life.
Well, I agree with you completely. And as we had in our article, that first, the elder boy of Felicity was abused when she was living with Robin. And in fact, I don't think we included this in the story, but we were told that Robin tried to convince him that he was a girl. So this boy, a school-age boy, now is in therapy because of his own confusion over having been told that he was a girl. It's pernicious, and what I find particularly frightening is the idea that the state is, that is to say, the publicly funded bodies that we rely upon to protect children, like, for example, the local police department, not to mention the Child Protective Services, seem to be indifferent, or indeed, in the case of CPS, ranged against the parents. This is what we're being told, and we haven't seen any evidence against it as yet. That's truly frightening, because then this is not just a misfortune for one particular young couple that messed up a lot before they reached their mid-20s. It has implications for all children, for all of us. If we have biased police departments, biased children protective services, even biased registrar generals that record births in favor of quote-unquote rainbow families over biological families, who, as we know, do the best job raising children. Okay, so this is not wild prejudice here. There are studies done, and in general, children grow up best when they're raised by their biological mother and father. This child has a right to his biological mother and father, and he's not being given his biological mother and father. So even if one thinks, play stupid games, win stupid prizes, that's not fair on this little boy who just needs his mom because she's his mom, and he needs his dad because he doesn't have a real male role model in the household he's in. There is basically a woman who believes she's a man and went to such lengths that she had a double mastectomy, poor thing, and who is with a female partner. So and of course, he's also cut off from his mother's adoptive family, let alone his father's adoptive family. So basically, this child is being one might say, wow, it's the sole property currently of this couple, of this female couple. So basically, we're really begging our readers. Well, I think
it's now or never, because if they don't take an action, not only does the child not get help when it needs to help, but also it's now or never for the church. In Canada, you had that student get arrested for standing and protesting against transgenderism in schools. Yes. How do people contribute? Yeah. We're out of time here. If they want to help, how could they do that?
If they could go on to LifeSite News and find the story, young mom and dad need help rescuing 2-year-old son. Okay, young mom and dad.
I will link to it in the show notes. LifeSiteNews.com is the website, but we're going to put a link to it in the show notes. If you're interested in contributing and helping out, we would encourage you to do so. We're out of time. Dorothy Cummins McLean, I appreciate you keeping us up to date on this and sharing the story with us. It's disturbing. We're going to pray for a better outcome here. Coming up after the break, we have more breaking news and stories for you. And Daniel Rodriguez from SpiritusTV is on. Freedom of speech, Catholic alternatives, all that and more is coming your way. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Hi, this is Jim Havens, host of The Simple Truth. Join Father Stephen Imbarato and I, along with many more, in New York City for the Gift of Life Walk on Saturday, March 25th at 11 a.m. in downtown Manhattan's Foley Square. We invite everyone to come walk with us behind the Men's March banner in this great opportunity to stand up together for the least of these on the Feast of the Annunciation, which is also the Day of the Unborn Child. Men, we also have a special men's night the evening before the walk on Friday, March 24th. Meet us at 6:30 p.m. for an important presentation on authentic manhood and the pro-life movement in the old gym at the Basilica of St. Patrick's Old Cathedral in Manhattan. Make plans now to join us. We hope that we'll see you there. For more information, go to themensmarch.com.
The Station of the Cross is listener-funded, and we value your ongoing generosity. In this fast-paced world, it's easy to let your recurring donation slip due to something like a new address or a card number change. If you suspect that we might not have your up-to-date donor information, you can check with us during regular business hours at 1-877-888-6279 extension 104 or anytime online at thestationofthecross.com.
Keep up to date with the shows we bring you each day on the Station of the Cross by viewing our programming grid on our website, thestationofthecross.com, and on our iCatholic Radio app. Just click the menu icon in the top left portion of our app and select the link to our programming grid. That's at thestationofthecross.com and on our free iCatholic Radio app for Android and Apple mobile devices.
Praise be to Jesus Christ. Welcome back to A Catholic Take, a bold synthesis of information and inspiration. I'm your host, Joe McLean. Here are your headline news. LifeSite News reports bishop removed by Pope Francis after opposing vaccine mandates, tells scandalized Catholics to pray and trust. A bishop removed from his diocese by Pope Francis last year after opposing COVID vaccine mandates and supporting the TLM is speaking out about his widely criticized dismissal. Bishop Daniel Fernandez Torres broke months of silence with a statement on Thursday, marking a 1 year since being removed from his pastoral service as bishop of his diocese in Puerto Rico. Quote, after 1 year, I reaffirm exactly the same words of the public statement that I made on March the 9th, 2022, he said, going on to say, in this time, I have discovered the meaning of witnessing the Beatitudes rather than just preaching them. I was informed that I had committed no crime, but that I had supposedly been not obedient to the Pope, nor had I been in sufficient communion with my brother bishops of Puerto Rico. The prelate further explained, quote, it was suggested to me that if I resigned from the diocese, I would remain at the service of the church in case at some time I was needed in some other position, an offer that in fact proves my innocence. But just by contrast, the Pope has yet to take any action against German bishops who voted in favor of heretical documents endorsing same-sex blessings and transgender ideology earlier this month as a part of the German synodal way. Let that sink in. Just the News reports more than 1.6 million apprehensions and gotaways in the fiscal year to date. More than 1.6 million foreign nationals have been apprehended or reported for evading law enforcement officers for illegally entering the United States in fiscal year 2023 through February, according to Customs and Border Protection apprehension data and gotaway data obtained by the Center Square. When reporting February enforcement data, CBP stated nationwide total encounters for fiscal year 2023 through February totaled 1.28 million, excluding gotaways. CBP reported overall apprehensions in February were up by 2% from January. Apprehensions of single adults and unaccompanied minors, they were up also 1.5% and 16% respectively. The Blaze reports Miami Beach declares state of emergency, imposes curfew. Oh, there was a lot that happened over the weekend there. The city of Miami Beach declared a state of emergency Sunday morning after 2 shootings resulted in 2 fatalities and stampedes caused injuries to several people during the spring break. The city is imposing a curfew beginning at 11:59 last night. The curfew primarily affects South Beach, a popular party spot for spring break revelers. Violators will be subject to arrest. There were 2 shootings over the weekend, and they resulted in fatalities, as well as a situation that created a stampede that caused further injuries, to include 2 people who are simply acting as goodwill ambassadors. Sale or distribution of alcoholic beverages for off-premises consumption will be prohibited in the curfew area after 6 p.m. And those are your headline news. Praise be to God. Joining us right now is Daniel, and he is the founder of SpiritusTV. And this is an incredible opportunity for Catholics, I think, everywhere, to not only enjoy freedom of speech, but I think more importantly, to really share with one another the content that can move the needle in our hearts. And Daniel Rodriguez joins us now by video. Good morning to you, Daniel.
Good morning. How are you? How are you, Joe?
Praise be to God, I am alive, and that counts. How are you?
Praise be to God, yes. Me too. I'm looking forward to our conversation.
Let's talk about SpiritusTV. Now, we're streaming live right now to Facebook. We're streaming live 2 places on Facebook. We're streaming live to YouTube. We're on Rumble. We're on LinkedIn. We're streaming live to Twitter. I mean, we're trying to be ubiquitously everywhere. We cross-post to a lot of places. But SpiritusTV is not something that a lot of Catholics have heard about, but it seems to be a hidden gem. Tell us, why did you start this? What prompted you to get a Catholic alternative to YouTube going?
Well, I'm an avid listener to Sensus Fidelium on YouTube, and about a year ago, more or less, there was a sermon, and one of the priests said something in the sermon that wound up having his channel canceled. And now he was only canceled for about like 2 or 3 days, but it started to get us thinking: what happens if that had been a permanent ban? What happens if they permanently take them off? And they could do this with other people too, right? There's a lot of other Catholic podcasters and channels out there that I listen to that could say something that's quote unquote controversial, and they would get canceled. So we decided to start working on a YouTube alternative, and that's what this is. Now, a lot of people have said, well, why don't they just go to Rumble? Why don't they just go to Odyssey or BitChute and all these other places? And the problem with those avenues is that there's a lot of filth there. It happened to me the other day. Someone pointed to me a sermon or something that was on Rumble that I couldn't get on YouTube. So I went over there to take a look at this channel, and there's just so much filth on there. And it's so important for us to have custody of the eyes. So we thought, okay, we have to build this YouTube alternative for Catholics based on Catholic morality, based on Catholic ethics, where when you go there, even your 5-year-old can click around and they're not going to worry about what they're going to see.
It's very important for sure. We don't allow as a family our kids to have unfiltered access to the internet in general, but let alone let them scroll on YouTube. We kicked the television out of our home many years ago, and but we watch as like last night as a family. You know, we spent an hour and a half watching some content that we would curate, that I curated and put on the television for them to watch and to enjoy. It's family friendly content, but I can't I'm on my phone finding this content. I can't have them watching because you just never know what's going to come up by way of thumbnails or what have you. And I tell you what, I dislike it when they put the autoplay function on and it's like it just wants to play this next thing, and you're like, no, stop it. I want to be in absolute control over the kind of content that my young children are going to be exposed to. I don't want them to be confused by the errors of this world. And so it is a real thing here. And that's one of the things I appreciated about when I talked to you a couple weeks ago about this product, the SpiritusTV, was how much you're curating who gets to post here. So as of right now, how many content creators do you have on the platform?
We've got over 50 content creators already. A lot of them are well known, some of them not so much. And like you were saying, we vet all of our content creators. You can't just start uploading videos. We make sure that's in line with Catholic teaching. We have also a priestly content board. It's 3 priests, really well-known priests. If I told you their names, everyone here would know them. They're anonymous, but I can't tell you. But if there's any kind of questions when it comes to Catholic morality, we just go out, ask them directly, and they tell us, this should be on, shouldn't be on, and they explain to us why. And that's how we vet them. And it's important to know, you were saying something about your children too. The same thing would happen to me, where I would be, with the advertisements would pop up, and some of these advertisements are terrible. I can't even believe they would show up. I never clicked on some of this stuff, so why are you showing me this? We've also vet our advertisers. Once we get the advertisement going, each one of our advertisers are going to be vetted. So you're going to see things that are not also contrary to our morality.
Boy, is it a big deal. I pay YouTube. I give money to the enemy just so that I don't have to see those ads. I'm like, I'd rather give you money than have those ads show up because, one, they're kind of annoying, to be honest with you. But number two, I just don't I don't want my kids being exposed to it. And here's the interesting thing. There's a lot of advertisers. Not only would we have issues with them advertising, say, on our content, for instance, but like the Mormon Church is fond of paying for ads. They pay huge dollar ad spends to get in front of eyeballs like Catholic audiences so they can plant seeds in their hearts of doubt and draw them away from the church. So the ads can be powerful tools with which bad things can happen. Some good things too, because they can be used for good. But however, it's definitely something we try to avoid at our place as much as we possibly can. But let's go back to Steve Cunningham for a second and Sensus Fidelium. Yeah. I interviewed Steve the day after his channel got deleted, and it was a great conversation. Steve was somebody who had diversified. It still does. I mean, the biggest ongoing running joke with Steve Cunningham is, hey, have you ever heard of BitChute? He was the first guy on BitChute ever from a Catholic perspective. And to this day, people still ask him that. He has needed to diversify. And as Catholic evangelists, I mean, we got a channel strike last week before. We're still suffering from the channel strike now. And we're on the verge of having our channel deleted there. As Catholic evangelists, it's diversify now or forever hold your peace, wouldn't you say?
I agree. And that's the thing. So when that happened to Steve, what if it happened permanently, like in a few months later, he can't go the next day and start creating a video platform to put his videos. The same with everybody else. We have to start creating these alternatives now because we saw what happened 2 years ago. And a lot of people, I think, are kind of in that mode where it's in the past, it's done. A lot of this cancellation, a lot of these things are over with. I don't think so. I think we're just in a calm before the storm. It's probably going to get worse. They're going to come after it. I mean, in a lot of countries now, even like Canada, for example, just regular Catholic teaching is considered hate speech. So they could just start shutting down all these channels, and then where do you go? If we start building these alternatives later on, it's going to be too late. So yeah, I totally agree. We need to start building these alternatives and geared directly to Catholics, not just where anybody can put anything they want on there.
So, okay, how big is your organization? I mean, YouTube is owned by Google, owned by Alphabet. I mean, they're pretty large. They have, probably hundreds, if not thousands of terabytes of storage in their data farms, hundreds of employees. They got employees that do nothing but censor Catholics like me, so how many people do you have working for you?
Well, we're close to getting to Google. We're about 4 volunteers. So we're not getting paid for this.
4.
There's just 4 volunteers. We're doing 2 developers. One is kind of the business side, and I'm kind of the business manager coordinator that gets everything done. So we honestly, if it wasn't for Our Lady, if it wasn't for Our Lady's intercession, I don't think we could have done this. We're actually more surprised probably than other people are that we've gotten this far. And if I do say so myself, if you click around, like, for example, Rumble and some of these other platforms, I think ours is superior. So sometimes it kind of shocks me the kind of money that's being spent on some of these things, because I'm like, okay, I don't know what you guys are using, but this is you could build a superior product. And for example, Rumble, with the kind of, they're a public company. So yeah, so I don't know. So yeah, but right now there's just 4 of us
with big names behind them. Yeah,
yes,
Bongino's behind them. Dave Rubin is behind them. I mean, they've got some big names with some significant money behind it, and yet it's still kind of quirky. It still doesn't quite function the way you would want it to. The problem with YouTube, and you and I had this conversation, is there's a love-hate relationship with YouTube. We dislike YouTube for their censorship policies, but we love YouTube for the fact that they have superior analytics. They have rules that you could follow if you understood them. You could create content and gain an audience. You have a chance at gaining an audience. Whereas on Rumble, I don't know. I even asked them once, hey, how do you do this? I don't know. It's just bizarre. And their analytics is woefully wanting, so there's a lot of issues with companies like Rumble or others like BitChute, which is like the wild, wild west of smut and other crazy, let alone platforms like Odyssey, which should perform really well, but there's just not an audience there. So we're at a break. Daniel is our guest. We're having a conversation around freedom of speech, really, the ability for the Catholic evangelist to reach the world. Daniel Rodriguez, founder of SpiritusTV, is our guest. On the other side of the break, I want to ask the question, but the audience is on YouTube, so why should we switch? Where do you see this going, and what do we need to do to get it there? All of that coming up with Daniel Rodriguez and SpiritusTV coming up after the break. Don't forget, we post the links to everything we're talking about, including SpiritusTV. Our channel is there. We're uploading content there, and I'm going to put a link to it on our show notes at thestationofthecross.com/ACT. We're going to be right back. Don't go anywhere. Share us with a friend.
The Station of the Cross Catholic Media Network is dedicated to answering the critical need of access to quality, consistent, professional, and proven Catholic programming. We cannot rely on other media outlets to properly represent our church. Catholic radio reaches Catholics, non-Catholic Christians, and non-believers alike. As a nonprofit lay organization financially independent of your diocese, our apostolate is listener-supported.
You can listen to any of our network-produced programs at your convenience, wherever you enjoy podcasts. Hear a powerful sermon you need to share with a loved one? Maybe there's a guest or teaching segment that deserves another listen. You can find all of our shows on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, Google Podcasts, our website, and the free iCatholic radio app. Be uplifted in your faith. Listen today at thestationofthecross.com or on your favorite podcasting platform.
Are you ready to take on the world of flesh and the devil with just the facts? This is Jesse Romero, host of Jesus 911, heard weekdays at 2 p.m. Eastern. I'm joined each day by a variety of co-hosts like Ruben Nava, Paul Clay, Dan Schneider, and my amazing wife, Anita Romero. We tackle Catholic devotions, spiritual warfare, family life, saving America, and everything in between. Join us each weekday at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific for Jesus 911. God bless you. Keep the faith.
The Catholic Current, bringing Christ to the world and the world to Christ.
I have no clue what my future looks like. I know who my future is, and it lies in the hands of Christ. I'm not worried about where I'm going to live, what I'm going to do. My life, I want it to be His, and there's such a freedom in that. I never, ever thought that I would find freedom in a laid-down, surrendered life to Christ.
The Catholic Current, 5 p.m. Eastern, from the Station of the Cross and on the iCatholic Radio mobile app.
Praise be to Jesus Christ. Welcome back to A Catholic Take, a bold synthesis of information and inspiration. I'm your host, Joe McLean. So good to be on with you. Praise be to God. We're having a conversation about, freedom of speech, really. The ability to preach the good, the true, and the beautiful in season and out, even when the world denies it, rejects it, hates it, doesn't want anything to do with it. As Catholic evangelists, we have an obligation, because we are citizens of heaven and not of this world, to preach the truth in charity and love, but truth nonetheless, with boldness to a world that is desperate to hear that message. And there's so many times where we're just not allowed. We're cut off. We're enduring a channel strike right now. They may delete our channel because 3 strikes and you're out, in which case we diversify. We're going to keep cruising. But Daniel Rodriguez is the founder of SpiritusTV, and he's our guest right now. And we've been talking about this platform, which I think is very fascinating. Again, I'm going to put links to our content there in the show notes today. You can find it at thestationofthecross.com/ACT. But their website is super simple to get to, SpiritusTV.com. That's it. Super simple. Spiritus, SPIRITUS, SpiritusTV.com. You should create an account today, start consuming content today. But most importantly, if you want to make it to heaven, you do have to be a subscriber to my channel there. I'm just saying, it's not my rules. I'm just going with it. You have to subscribe to. I got 8 subscribers right now, Daniel. It's smoking. I'm just blazing a trail today. Praise be to God. Welcome back to the show, Daniel Rodriguez. Okay, let me. All kidding aside, let me ask you a question. The reality is YouTube is the second largest search engine on the planet. I'm old enough to remember web crawler, back when web crawler was a thing and it was super cool, right? And then you had other opportunities that came out, but ultimately Google sort of took over and Google bought YouTube. And when that happened, they transformed YouTube into more than just content delivery. It was content search. Second largest search on the planet. It serves, some say, 1.5 billion people a day on their platform as users. As Catholic evangelist, shouldn't I remain on that platform? Shouldn't I want to be there? Shouldn't I want to engage where the audience is? Or, because some would argue, Daniel, I want you to respond to this. Some would argue that SpiritusTV is the place where the choir hangs out. What say you, Daniel Rodriguez?
Yes, that's kind of a good point. And what we tell all of our content creators is there's a large potential for evangelization on YouTube. We don't deny that. There's a lot of people out there that have discovered, either been converted or reverted, listening to a lot of channels that are on there. Your channel, Sensus Fidelium, Taylor Marshall, etc., which I think that's fine. But like we say, once you convert them or revert them, bring them over to SpiritusTV, because you need to get them away from places like Moloch, controlled places like Google. YouTube, we tell everybody, listen, if it's free, if you're not the customer, you're the product. There's a reason that it's free. It's because they're selling you information. They're making money off of you. They're not doing this out of charity. Or if you don't want to see the advertisements, like I was doing for years, paying $18 a month just to make sure I'm not getting their advertisement. What happens with that money? that money winds up in the hands of organizations that we as Catholics cannot support, such as Planned Parenthood. A lot of these tech companies, the big tech companies, are woke. They're going to use this money against us directly or indirectly, from funding senators, representatives, to funding organizations that support causes that we as Catholics cannot support, and is contrary to our beliefs. So what we need to do is, okay, stay on it while you can until you get canceled, because you're going to have to really watch what you say as time moves forward. But you convert them, revert them, bring them over to SpiritusTV. You might think this is where the choir hangs out, but there's still a lot of potential for evangelization there. But more importantly, it's a place where Catholics can continue to practice their faith without having to worry about the smut that's out there, and to learn from each other. I mean, it's not like everybody that goes to, all the content creators, that goes to SpiritusTV has the same points of view. There's a lot of discussion that can happen there. Also, speaking to the point of YouTube, it's moving over, it's bringing different types of content creators, not just people that are talking only theology, only religious things, but also all types of content creators that are Catholic.
One of our insiders is asking the question, they want to know if you have a mobile app.
The Android app is going to be out fairly soon. We're going to work on the iOS app. That's actually our biggest market, is people are connecting through iOS. Right now on Android, I'm not 100% sure about iOS. You can save the SpiritusTV onto your homepage of your phone, which will allow it to appear as an app. But yes, an app should be out fairly soon. We're actually going to have quite a few things that are going to come out.
I saved it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saved it as a sort of an icon on my desktop, so it looks and kind of functions like an app too. It doesn't even even though it's still a web page, it doesn't actually have the same frame as the web page. It almost looks like it's an app itself. So functions fairly well that way. So my next question was going to be, and you're starting to go there, is, all right, what's coming next? What are your plans for the future? What technology are you going to be rolling out? What will this SpiritusTV look like in the coming years?
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about all the things that are going to come out. And a lot of it is kind of like back and forth talking to users as well as content creators. One of the things that's going to be out fairly soon is live streaming. So people are going to be able to live stream. It's going to, exactly like YouTube, it's going to be able to save it right to SpiritusTV. It's going to have connections to StreamYard, which is kind of behind the scene things for content creators, where they're going to be able to cast at the same time to SpiritusTV, Facebook, YouTube, and then save it in the different platforms. We're also going to have underneath every single video, there's going to be a donate button for people to be able to donate directly to each one of the content creators. A lot of people are using now or some things like Patreon, which takes like about 8-10% of whatever their donations. It's not going to be that way. It's going to be a lot smaller fee that's going to be taken out, and it's going to go directly to these content creators. Other things that are going to be coming out are, for example, we already had shorts. Direct messaging between the content creators and the subscribers is going to come out. One of the exciting things that we're working on, this might take a little longer, but probably by the end of the year, is there's going to be a way for we're going to call it like a boost option. Right now, likes and dislikes are fairly what we call cheap, right? Anybody just clicks like, dislike, whatever, and they just kind of click on it, moves on. There's going to be an option where people are going to be able to pay either through Bitcoin, maybe some other cryptocurrencies, or even like just regular PayPal or something. Little amounts of Bitcoin will work a lot better because they'll be able to put like really small amounts, and they'll be able to like and boost whatever video. So, for example, you're watching something, you're like, man, this maybe is an unknown content creator that I really like. I think people need to see this, and they can kind of boost that up. And it's going to create a very interesting dynamic where people are going to be like, these content creators maybe are not as well known, but I think it's important that people should see this, and I'm willing to put my money where my mouth is and kind of boost them up. But I think as time goes on, and be patient with us, because again, we're 4 volunteers working on this. We don't have a whole team of developers behind the scenes or anything. Is it's going to start looking a lot more and more like YouTube, all the options that YouTube has. But it's going to, I think, look a lot better than YouTube, because we're a small team, so we're more agile. We can move and create things a lot easier than these large corporations can.
Amen. Praise be to God. Daniel Rodriguez, we are out of time, but we are so grateful to you today for hanging out with us and sharing this incredible initiative. SpiritusTV, all volunteers so far. Praise be to God. I hope this turns out to be a big thing and provides for you and for your team, for your families, for sure, because it's going to give us, as Catholic evangelists, the tools we need to create content to reach souls for the glory of God and for their conversion, while we still have an opportunity, because we have an obligation to do so. So we wish we could put all of our eggs in the YouTube basket, but that is not the case. Go to SpiritusTV, create your account, subscribe today. I'll put links in the show notes at thestationofthecross.com/ACT.
So what did you think of today's show? Let's discuss that right now in the after show. Your take on the after take. Comment, interact live with me and the team. All you need to do is search for one of our live video feeds on Facebook, YouTube, Rumble, Twitter, LinkedIn, and elsewhere. Simply search for The Station of the Cross, Joe McClain, or A Catholic Take. I'm looking forward to seeing you and interacting with you directly. It all starts right now. It's the after show.
All right, Joe, we are clear and on with the after show.
Okay, praise be to God. Welcome to the after show. How many people noticed it? Raise your hand. First one to notice it gets a prize. I'm not going to give you any hints. If you noticed it and you mentioned it, something different happened today. Something was different. If you could figure out what that was and first person noticed what was different, you get a prize. Did Daniel sign off, or is he still on?
Yeah, he signed off. He says, thank you very much, and
okay.
Had a great time.
Cool. Paul, good morning to you, all our insiders on the Telegram group today. Let's see if you guys figure out what it was. Did anybody notice what was different on the show today? I didn't tell anybody. I've not told a single soul. Paul, good morning to you. Sharon, good morning to you. Jack is in the house. Mike K is in the house. Praise be to God. Laura, good morning to you. Good morning, everybody. Glad to see you guys here. Praise be to God. I'm scrolling backwards. Yvonne, good morning to you. Good morning to you. Glad to see you guys here. Praise be to God. Damon is in the house. Good morning, everybody. Thanks for hanging out. Praise be to God. Hopefully you had a great weekend. Sharon's also on YouTube, so is Evodio. Good morning to you. Yvonne, good morning to you. Kilroy Jones is in the house this morning. Good morning to you. Alberto from the UK. It's good to see you, my friend. How are you? Bridget Dunn, good morning and happy St. Joseph's Day to you as well. Good morning to you. T-Storm, good morning to you. Kim Sunderman, good morning to you. Glad to see you guys here. Are you guys doing how many people are also doing a St. Joseph's altar today? Just let me know. I would like to know. And what are you putting on the altar? Because I am not allowed to have any of it. I have to just sit and watch other people eat the goodies. Although my daughter did say that there was a keto-friendly ice cream. Is that true? Like, what do they use for sweetener? Like, I can't stand if it's like stevia or whatever. It's just going to taste gross. Sharon says, did you do the gospel? Yes, I did. I did the gospel. Yes, I did. That was not new. That was not the thing that was new. There was something that was different, never done before. And how many people even noticed it? Probably nobody. I'm guessing nobody. I did the gospel, Sharon. Yes, I did the gospel. The problem I have with the gospel, though, I'm going to be honest with you. I feel like the gospel could be missed because I go from it. Like, I feel like that whole first 15 minutes is a little too rushed. Like, I'm hustling to get it all in. And I feel like I can't stop and chew on the gospel for a minute. Like, I know I do the commentary and all, but I feel like I can't. I feel like the gospel can sound like the news, and I don't want it to. I got to think about how to do that differently. Sharon says, how quickly I forget. Mike K says there is no keto-friendly ice cream, but it is no. He says there is keto-friendly ice cream, but it is not great. Yeah, I can't imagine it would be. I can't imagine it would be. Let's see who else is in the house over here. We had some new people. Rumble Hand. Well, good morning to you, Rumble Hand. Thanks. Sci-Fi Mike is in the house. Praise be to God. Rumble, you ought to be better. You ought to be. If anybody should be better, it ought to be you. But you're missing obvious things like, good grief. Your analytics is just, not only is it not good, I should charge you a fee for having to deal with it. Like, you should compensate me financially from having to just go through the effort to have to look at your horrible, terrible, no good analytics. You give me no information that's valuable to me. Rumble, what is your problem? And when like, at least YouTube, like, there's entire industries based on how to optimize YouTube. Like, Rumble, you got nothing. There's not even an FAQ page. It's not even, there's no tutorial videos. Nothing. Zero, zilch, nada. It's just terrible. Sci-Fi Mike, good morning to you. How can software developers help out? Why didn't I see that question? I should have asked Daniel that question. That would have been a good question. I imagine that if you are a software developer and you want to participate in the project, I could connect you to Daniel, and Daniel could talk to you about the potential of it. So, if you know anybody, let me know. Empty One, good morning to you. Annie, Get Your Gun is in the house. Oh, boy. By the way, they're trying to reinstate Fed gun bans. So there's that. Good times. What was the biggest news over the weekend? Well, I'm thinking Donald Trump getting arrested, or he basically came out and said he was going to get arrested Tuesday. Where was the last time a former president of the United States had been arrested? It's kind of a big deal. Patty says, nope. Guess I'm not fully awake yet. Good morning to you, Don. Howdy, y'all. Good morning to you, Jesus Robles. My friend, I got your text. I was just knee-deep in trying to get ready for the show and couldn't respond. I'm sorry, my friend. By the way, Jesus Robles, this is his. This station across back here is his. Why does the video seem so janky today, Jake? Is there like a...
It's a good question. I was
wondering. Doesn't that seem like low quality today?
Yes. Wasn't sure.
Are you guys seeing a low-res version?
I wasn't sure if that was related to the thing that we can't say what you did differently or not.
Do you know what I did differently? Do you know what I did differently?
I know, but I'm not saying because you said
you do.
We're not telling anyone. Yeah, I saw it. I saw it first thing. I'm staring at my 8 screens and watching you for an hour. I saw it right away. What you were doing differently, unless there's another thing that I didn't notice. But
good morning to you, Eileen. Hey, good morning, everybody. Hey, okay, so yes, lower quality, says Yvonne. Yikes. I don't know why that would be. Honestly, I can't imagine what would cause lower quality of video. That part has not changed. So that is strange. Strange. So far, nobody has identified the thing that is different today. Nobody has pointed it out. So if you know, let us know. Now, what is different in the Telegram group? You guys can't see it, but we are streaming. I'll show you what we're streaming. This is what the back end of this is what our private Telegram group, our insiders Telegram group gets to see. They get to see this. This is what they get to see. They get to see all the camera angles at the same time. So they get to see the back end and the inside of the video production all the time. Looks fuzzy to me. I don't know why it would look fuzzy. That's got to be a bandwidth problem. What would cause that? I don't have any... I'm not sure why that would be. I don't know. We're going to have to look at that. You see a bunch of fuzzy pictures. That's got to be a quality issue on your end, Jake. It's got to be something we're sending out to the world. I'm not sure.
It's looking fuzzy coming into me as well. So
maybe it's just to the Telegram group because Evodio is saying
Evodio
I thought
said
res was normal.
Exactly. So, but what I'm seeing on my screen is
Marcus
looks a little fuzzier than normal. So we'll see. I'm going to look into it with Mike. We've got a couple little things we want to tweak today. So.
Alberto asked, Trump arrested for what? Well, there's been an ongoing case against him in New York about paying off Stormy Daniels and whether or not he paid off hush money to Stormy Daniels and as a campaign finance issue. So they convened a grand jury, and the grand jury's been meeting for months. Well, they've been signaling that he's about to be indicted, in which case they're going to arrest him. Well, Trump trumped them all. You like how I did that? By announcing on his Truth Social feed that he was going to be arrested on Tuesday. That's a big deal. Whether you love Trump or hate Trump, the fact that a former president of the United States got arrested. Did Richard Nixon get arrested? I'm just curious. Anybody? Hey, did you know that Obama quietly settled a case that he had some campaign finance problems? Anybody hear about that one? Oh, yeah. Yeah, true story. There was a case where he quietly, with nobody knowing really much about it, settled some campaign finance problems that he had. He didn't get arrested for that. No. Yeah, so here's the story right here. This is out of U.S. News. I'll share it with you. Obama campaign fined big for hiding donors, keeping illegal donations. Barack Obama presidential campaign had been fined $375,000 for Federal Election Commission for violating federal disclosure laws. So, you know what? I don't want Obama to be arrested, to be honest with you. I don't. I mean, I didn't want him to be president because he was the most pro-abortion president in our nation's history. Now, that's not true because Biden is clearly more pro-abortion than this guy. But nonetheless, I did not vote for Obama. I didn't like him as a candidate. I thought we could have done better. But nonetheless, I wouldn't want him to get arrested. I wouldn't want to get Trump arrested either. Now, I'm not the biggest Trump fan in the room either, okay, just to be frank. But nonetheless, these are the games we play. Obama gets the quiet, down low, under the cover radar treatment. Trump gets indicted. That's how that's going to play out. By the way, Hillary Clinton also settled a case because she supported the Steele dossier, which was fake news about Donald Trump's Russia hoax thing. That was fake news. I don't know if did you know that? That was the thing that became fake news. Like that, everybody figured that out a day late and a dollar short. Well, because she supported that financially, she had to settle that. She never got arrested for it. So it is basically, it's a double standard at the end of the day. It's a double standard. Tain't right, as they say. Tain't right. Alberto says, Boris Johnson, former PM, facing a committee of MPs due to the cabinet having parties during COVID. Yeah. What'd you think of Boris Johnson there? From the outside looking in, Alberto, I did not like him. I definitely don't like him, the fact that he is a big Ukraine guy. Like he went over there and pressured Zelensky to not do peace talks with Russia. Like we could have ended this thing with peace talks. We wouldn't have to give you any more billions of dollars, tanks, airplanes, and all the rest. We could just be done with all of this. And Boris talked him off the ledge. No, don't go. No peace talks, no peace talks. I don't know. Doesn't seem right to me. Marcus Gabriel, how are you, my friend? I pray you are well. I pray you are well. Do we know each other? Because I don't recognize Marcus Gabriel, but I love you too, brother. I love you too. No one likes Johnson. No one likes Johnson. That's funny. Paul says, or Eileen says, good morning to you, Eileen says, my feed is clear too. Well, that's good. I'm glad to hear it. Yvonne says, but the Trump case is over 5 years old, so there's that. Yeah, exactly. Paul says, exactly, Joe, Deep State doesn't like the MAGA pro-life. I think that's true. I'll add, apparently Deep State doesn't like Catholics, especially TLM Catholics. Yes, apparently. It is interesting times we live in. What do you think about that bishop in Puerto Rico who got retired very early? Don't you love it? They're like, you're disobedient to the Pope, and you're not in sufficient communion. Like, what does that even mean? That's not a thing. Like, look up canon law. Show me where it says sufficient communion in canon law. He was either in communion or he wasn't in communion. There isn't a sufficient communion category. Bizarre. So his issue was he didn't support the vax mandate that Puerto Rico was going for. And he also supported the TLM in his diocese. He wasn't TLM. He supported the TLM community. And because of that, he got retired. And if he was guilty of something, don't you think they would have tried and convicted him? But that's not what they did. Tell you what they did. I'm just now getting notifications from Jake from 2 hours ago, an hour and a half ago, whatever it was. Interesting. There's some sort of, there was big delays too. I'm not sure. There's something wrong with the internet today. I got to tell you, can I just share with you something? So there's a thing that was different today that you have not caught yet, by the way. Nobody has pointed it out. Not one person has pointed this out. There was something different about the show. I'll give a prize to anybody who can point it out. As I was getting this thing that is different, trying to get it set up Saturday, let's just say technology, I almost destroyed everything in my office. Un poquito came this close. Un poco. I almost took everything I own and threw it out the window because I have an issue. I'm a choleric, so I have an issue with technology that refuses to obey its master. You know what I mean? Like, it's a creature. It's a creation. It needs to obey, okay? I'm the Adam of the garden. This is my garden. You're the creature in my kingdom. You obey me. And if you don't, I cast you out. That's what Adam should have done to this Nahash, to the serpent, to the dragon. But instead, he was, let's just say, cowardly. And he allowed his wife to have to face the dragon by herself. So the rest is, as they say, history. So I almost destroyed every piece of technology, and we would have been doing the show by the phone today because that's all it would have been left. I was this close. I had to go to confession on Sunday, to be honest, if I'm being frank. I lost my composure, my comportment. I lost my temper. I was so angry with the disobedient technology. Like, nothing wanted to work properly. My speaker didn't want to work. Nothing wanted to work. Nothing. It was all just like, nope, we're not doing anything. You can't make us. But I persevered, and here we are. And I did the thing that I set up. I did the thing that I intended to do, and not one of you noticed. So, good times.
That could be a good thing.
Time well spent.
That means it was natural.
Time well spent. Was it? I don't think it was natural at all. I think it was a total pain and suffering. In fact, I'm sure my priest would say, no more penance for you for the rest of Lent. You have earned your keep.
I just want to say thank you for perfectly summing up my own attitude towards technology as a fellow choleric.
Right. Yes.
I've never had it been summed up so perfectly before, so thank you.
My wife gets mad at me. She's like, they are inanimate objects. You can't, they don't, that's not how it works. I'm like, they are creations that should obey. Stop it. Yvonne says, I noticed that you have put more icons in the background. Looks nice. That is it. Okay, that did change. But that is not the thing that I'm referring to. I will say this. This changed as a consequence to the thing that I changed. That's your only hint. I had to change this because of something else that I changed and did different today that you have not so far figured out. Amen, Joe. In or out of communion? Exactly. There is no in between communion. Exactly. There is just, what is this? Or who sets the rules? Yvonne says, I'm sorry, Joe, that's awful. It is awful. I agree with you. Fixed microphone? No. I almost broke the microphone. I almost tossed it across the room. am I the only one whose dad, like when you were a kid, and your dad was like trying to fix the car, and you were the one that had to go get the 1/4-inch spanner or something, like the socket, and you didn't move fast enough, and dad was like impatient, like, hello, move faster. He'd be yelling at you or something. And, then he would like curse like a trucker, curse like a sailor, like a Marine. Yeah, I remember those good old days too. No, I didn't break the microphone, but I wanted to, if I'm being frank. And I didn't fix it either. It remains the same. Sharon says, actually, Mary McCoach says, good morning to you, Mary. Different camera angle. Yes and no. The camera angle is technically the same, but it is not as wide of a camera angle. It is changed as a consequence to doing something else that you have not noticed. So you guys are noticing the symptoms and not the cause. How do I tease this and more is the question in my mind. Closer shot of you online, Joe. Did you break your screen? Did I break the screen or did I add a screen? I don't know. Dads fixed cars in the 70s and 80s. Yes, they did. Alberto, did your dad fix his cars and did he scream and curse? And but cursing in an English accent always sounds better. I'm going to be honest with you. It's always more tolerable. Alberto says no one understands car repair these days. Well, part of the problem, Alberto, is all of these cars are way over engineered. The engine bay, the compartment is so tight. I mean, I can't get this big old fat hand inside. Like I owned a Volvo XC70. It's like the jacked up Volvo Overlander version. I love that thing. It was comfortable, leather heated seats, a station wagon. I could fit my family in it. I took that thing hunting and camping. But I blew the engine 200 feet off the ground on an overpass. I ruined the engine through a rod with my kids in the back and kept driving it because I didn't want to get stuck at 200 feet up high on an overpass with little kids. Thank you, but no thank you. Ended up throwing the car away. But when I tried to fix that car, there was zero room you couldn't, like, changing the spark plugs was like almost an engine out experience. It was ridiculous. That's why now I own a 2006 Chevy Tahoe. Like, I could climb into the engine bay. It's like, it's that much room. It's the last of the old school opportunity to do it yourself. Now, okay, truth, I know what you're thinking. Yes, I have had to tow my vehicle to the mechanic to fix my repairs. But that's beside the point. That's a different story. It is a nice car, Alberto. I think I got it for a good price, too. It's too bad I had to throw it away. I think Joe changed the angles. Yes, no, not really. No, the angles remain the same. It's just a tighter shot. There's a slightly tighter shot here. Slightly tighter shot. The voice indicator is on the right instead of under. Nope. Nope, that's not the thing that changed. We started a full hour after the show today. We did? What happened? I don't know. Christopher Velasquez, good morning to you. Glad to see you on board today. Praise be to God. Should I give it away? Should I tell you what you guys have not? Should I or should I hold it? The backdrop is blurry. Well, that's true. This is called bokeh, or as Europeans would say, bokeh. Okay, fancy videographers and photographers want the background to be blurry because the focal plane is right here in my face and everything behind me is blurred out. It's supposed to look that way. It's intentional to go for the bokeh. But again, that is a consequence to the thing that I did that nobody has figured out. More hair? No. If anything, I've got less hair. God bless you, Patty. Thanks for hanging out. Polachicho is working the cams. Polachicho's working the cams. I hope not. Good morning. And on a laptop? No laptop. Well, I do have the laptop. You can see it right here. See? Laptop. iMac. Camera. Camera's up there. candles. The candles, no, they were always there. They're just not lit. Nobody's figured this out. What do you say, Jake? Do I give it away? Do I?
Can I take my
tell
guess?
Everybody?
Can I take my guess at what I think it is?
Okay.
That might reveal it.
Let producer Jake. Do you think we should let producer Jake guess? Let us know in the comments. What do you think? Because it may just be Captain Obvious to him because he has the insider knowledge.
Maybe.
So, do you guys want him to just reveal it or at least give you his answer? New computer. No, definitely not a new. I would have needed one, though. I came this close, Damon, to throwing this thing through a wall on Saturday. So I would have had to have got a new computer in that circumstance. But by the grace of God, I finally restrained myself. It's Monday. You're awake for the show. Only barely, Paul. Only barely. Yvonne says, using an older camera. I was always using. These cameras have not changed. Both of these cameras I purchased. This camera up here. This camera right there is the oldest of the cameras that I'm using right now. It is a Lumix G85. It was the first 4K camera that I purchased. I was still producing archery videos on YouTube when I purchased that camera. And then I realized I wanted to make a documentary film, which led me to purchasing this camera, which is a GH5S, which I filmed my Other Side of Fear documentary film on. I love this camera. A lot of people don't. But those people, what do they know? What do they know? They probably own Sony or something. Some nonsense. I'm a Lumix guy. Lumix till I die. And I bought another Lumix this past year. I upgraded my kit to a Lumix S5, not the Mark II. The instant I bought my S5, they released the Mark II. They released the current version, which is better than the one that I have. So, but the good news is I got mine on used eBay for cheap money. So I got a great deal. I like to buy used equipment when possible. All right, Sci-Fi Mike says, go, Jake, go. All right, Jake, we're going to let you. Does Jake know? Here's the question. Does Jake know what was different today? We need like a drum roll. We need like a, what sound effects do I already have? Nope.
That's if I get it wrong.
That's not a drum roll. I don't have a drum roll. Yeah, you're right. I don't have a drum roll. All right, Jake. Okay, you can stop. What? Thank you. Crickets. What was different today, Jake?
Was the fact that you read the entire news looking into your camera like this, like a professional news reporter?
No, seriously. Thank you. No, thank you. Seriously. No, please stop. No, seriously. Stop it. Okay. It's a little... Oh, guys. Really? You can be done with it now. All right. Yeah, I did. Can I? How do I show you this? I don't think I can show you this. I have no means. How do I show?
Do a behind-the-scenes Telegram video. Well, maybe you can't do it right now because you're live streaming. But
I can't. I'll put I installed a prompter. So a teleprompter. My wife came up here halfway through it, and she was like, do you think you should stop and pray for a moment? Maybe bless yourself with holy water? Because I was so angry. Nothing wanted to participate. All my technology was totally against me. I've never used a teleprompter before because I'm not the kind of guy who does teleprompter. I'm not the teleprompter guy. I'm the guy who just goes to town. But I thought it would be great if while reading the news, the parts that I read, that I look up and into the camera for those sections, because we are repurposing all this content, especially on SpiritusTV. So I thought, I'm going to install the teleprompter and see how this all goes. And I paid good money, $20 for this app. They had 5-star reviews and YouTubers are raving about, oh, it's so good. It works with your voice. It doesn't work with your voice. I want my money back. Anyway, I'm reliving the experience. So I got to calm down.
Okay. I want my money back. It doesn't work with your voice. It didn't work. It doesn't work. Okay. So I had to figure out another way to make it work. And so I downloaded a remote control app on my phone so that I could press a button, get it to run, and then pause it, and then so work. And I had to find the perfect speed with which to try to do that. And I was up here for hours Saturday trying to get it done. But in order for it to get the teleprompter to work, and I'm going to post a video showing you what I'm looking at on the Telegram group after the show is off. Why are you laughing at me? Don't be laughing at me. I'm going to post a picture to look at the monstrosity, ridiculousness that I see here. But in order to get it to work, I had to switch lenses. I had to take the lens off of this camera and put it on that camera. I love that lens. That's the Tokena. The Tokena lens is boss. It is baller. I love that lens. It's a wide lens. It's a nice looking lens. I love that lens. And it broke my heart to have to move it over to the side. But because of that, that is now a wide angle lens. So you can actually see more over here now because it's wider angle. This lens, which is a Sigma 18 to 35, it's a good lens. It's a great lens. It weighs about 7 billion pounds, but it's a nice lens, good lens, but it's not as wide. But the upside is the bokeh is nicer. But I also have a what they call a speed booster. So I have an adapter I connect it to the camera, which basically increases the amount of light that comes into that lens, which increases the bokeh in the background, the bokeh, making it look fancier. I know, Sci-Fi Mike, I am ashamed of myself too. I mean, what kind of a man reads a teleprompter? I know. I should be ashamed. I should memorize. Like St. Thomas Aquinas wouldn't use a teleprompter. He had memorized everything, and he would just look in the camera and just, regurgitate the entire Bible to you. He wouldn't even skip a beat. I, however, am no St. Thomas Aquinas, as most of you know already. But nonetheless, so I got it all set up. I ran through the tests bunch of times. I think I memorized the stories I was using as tests to see. But the hassle to get this thing to work properly is so, like, is it even worth it? I don't know. You let me know. Is it worth it? Should I continue? Should I go at least all week doing this before I decide to cancel everything and set it back the way it was? Because I have to take the notes and put them in a special document, upload them to the cloud, download them on the prompter, and then I have to go through the test. I mean, I don't know. And then it does, the formatting isn't really right. I have to reformat it a little bit, and it's just, I don't know. You guys tell me if you think it's worth it or not. Is it better that I look into the camera for the news when I'm reading the news? Or is it okay if I just look down and read the news that way? Because that's all I've ever done, because it's a radio show. But my problem is, if you're watching this video after the fact and you don't know that this is a radio show, you're going to be like, why is that dude not looking in the camera? Why is he looking down the whole time? So I thought maybe I could fake it and just do a teleprompter. St. Thomas Aquinas did not use a teleprompter. I know, Sharon. I know. I'm ashamed of myself, too. Yvonne says, give it a few days and see if you think it's worth it or not. Keep the teleprompter. Alberto's on the board for keep the teleprompter. Angel Knight, good morning to you. Thanks for hanging out with us. We appreciate you being here. Do us a favor and subscribe to us over on SpiritusTV. SpiritusTV.com. Check it out. We're going to put a link in the show notes for everyone, and I'll put a video of my teleprompter in the Telegram group. God love you. God bless you. See you tomorrow.